Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 artists who switched genres.
How does it feel to be on your own?
Don't speak, I know what you're thinking. Now I'm lying on the cold, hard ground. Trouble.
For this list, we're looking at various musical artists who drastically altered their sound throughout their careers. What's your favorite genre swap? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20. Childish Gambino. Donald Glover is one of the most talented entertainers working today, shining bright as an actor, writer, showrunner, and musician.
How do you know whenever you are around? Can't speak, I can't speak.
Under his stage name Childish Gambino, Glover has released 4 studio albums and 14 mixtapes. His studio albums are a particular point of fascination owing to their eclectic musical styles.
I'll take that as a compliment. Got a house full of homies. Why I feel so the opposite. Incompetent ain't the half of it.
His first 2, Camp and Because the Internet, were straightforward hip-hop albums. He went in a drastically different direction with Awaken My Love, introducing elements of swooning R&B, funk, soul, and even some psychedelia. Finally, 3:15:20 once again changed things up with some alternative musical elements and experimental sounds. Not to mention a collaboration with Ariana Grande.
Can't feel this flow.
Maybe all the stars.
Number 19. Linkin Park. Not all musical diversions are successful.
It starts with
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind.
Linkin Park found incredible success in the early 2000s and carved themselves out a great chunk of the flourishing rap rock nu metal scene.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end,
Their first 3 albums, Hybrid Theory, Meteora, and Minutes to Midnight, were all very successful multi-platinum selling alt-rock and nu metal classics.
I've become so numb. I can't feel you there. Become so tired.
However, things started to get a bit more experimental and electronic with 1,000 Suns, and longtime fans started to jump ship.
Everyone will be burned inside the fires of 1,000 suns for the sins of all.
That didn't stop the band from branching out, however, and they went on to release a straightforward pop album in 2017 titled One More Light. The album, their last with Chester Bennington before his passing, divided fans and critics alike.
you keep spinning around me just the same.
No, I'm not the center of the universe.
Number 18. Katy Perry. Perry wasn't always the pop icon we know today.
Love is 899-333. Come on, listen to me.
Her parents were evangelical pastors, and in 2001, at age 16, she released a self-titled Christian album under her real name, Katie Hudson. It only sold about 200 copies. Katie decided to switch tracks and move to LA, and the rest, of course, is pop history.
I kissed a girl and I liked it. The taste of her cherry chapstick.
In 2008, her album One of the Boys announced a very different Katie to the world. We're assuming her parents weren't too happy with the lyrical themes. Either way, the switch in genres was a rousing success, earning her instant fame.
Daisy Dukes, bikinis on top.
Number 17. Bring Me the Horizon. British rock band Bring Me the Horizon found success and a couple of gold-selling records with their pop-punk and nu metal music.
Okay, and it's not alright. Won't you drag the lake and bring me home again?
2015's That's the Spirit proved particularly successful, going platinum in Australia, gold in 4 other countries, and generating a string of UK rock #1 singles.
You left me alone and broke every promise you ever made. I was an ocean.
The band would have never found this level of mainstream popularity, however, had they continued with their original sound. Their debut album, Count Your Blessings, was a deathcore album through and through. While while the band steadily added more elements of pop and electronica to their sound with each new album. That's the Spirit and 2019's Ammo were a clear departure from their roots.
Every scar will build my strength.
Number 16. Skrillex. Skrillex took the world by storm in the 2010s with his unique computerized sound, which brought dubstep into the mainstream. Before he shaved half his head and adopted the Skrillex moniker, however, he performed as Sonny Moore, the vocalist for a post-hardcore band called From First to Last. After leaving the band due to vocal issues, he embarked on a solo career, and of course now headlines as one of the world's biggest EDM performers. Bringing things back full circle, in 2017, he rejoined From First to Last. Number 15. Pantera. One of the most successful heavy metal bands in history, Pantera enjoyed a successful career, thanks in particular to Dimebag Darrell's influential guitar playing and songwriting. However, their sound wasn't always so heavy. They released 3 albums throughout the 80s as a glam rock band. Yes, that Pantera was a glam rock band. After looking for a heavier sound, they replaced vocalist Terry Glaze with the famous Phil Anselmo, started playing their instruments with a little more gusto, and the rest is rock history. Number 14. Gwen Stefani. How do you know Gwen Stefani? Is it as the lead singer of the ska punk band No Doubt?
This world is forcing me to hold your hand, 'cause I'm just a girl.
Or from her ultra-successful pop career singing about hollaback girls?
Few times I've been around that track, so it's not just gonna happen like that, 'cause ain't no hollaback girl.
Back in the 90s, Gwen was an icon of the ska genre, and one hell of a frontwoman.
Don't speak, I know what you're thinking.
She wrote many of the band's songs, and transitioned into a solo artist in 2004 with her album Love Angel Music Baby, where she explored a diverse range of different sounds.
And after all the obstacles, it's good to see you now.
She did reunite with No Doubt, however, for the 2012 album Push and Shove.
But you can see my eyes, you can read it on my lips. I'm trying to get a hold.
Number 13. Linda Ronstadt. An inductee in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a Kennedy Center Honors recipient, and the recipient of 10 Grammy Awards, Linda Ronstadt enjoyed a long career that encompassed diverse musical genres.
I'm going back someday. Come on back to blue.
She began her career in country rock and remained within the genre throughout much of the 70s.
Take a good look at my face. You know my smile.
She eventually ventured into more straightforward rock in the late 70s, however, and later dabbled in genres like new wave and pop.
Why don't you stay and let me make it up to you?
Things got really different in the late 80s as Ronstadt began exploring other genres. These included jazz, big band, and even Latin and mariachi music on albums like Más Canciones and Canciones de mi Padre.
Hacen que mi alma tiemble de amor.
The latter actually earned the one-time country and rock artist a Grammy for Best Mexican American Performance. Number 12. Alanis Morissette.
I don't know. You seem there.
Alanis is one of Canada's most beloved musical icons, having sold over 75 million albums. She was dubbed the Queen of Alt-Rock Angst by Rolling Stone. This same Alanis Morissette released 2 albums as a teenager in Canada performing dance pop, 1991's Alanis and 1992's Now Is the Time.
Never too cold, you make it a shot.
that adorable? She was basically a real-life Robin Sparkles.
That's okay, I'm gonna rock your body anyway.
After dropping the dancing, she picked up a guitar, released the enormously successful album Jagged Little Pill, and has mostly erased her pop career from memory.
But I've got one hand in my pocket, and the other one is playing the piano.
Number 11. Beck. This musician broke onto the scene in the mid-90s with his wildly successful single Loser and the alt-rock albums Mellow Gold and Odelay. Despite being successful, these albums would certainly not herald Beck's future career in music. He began to experiment in the late 90s, introducing elements of country, R&B, and funk rock into his repertoire. And 2002's Sea Change proved a straightforward folk rock album that featured a more introspective Beck.
Leave you here, wearing your wounds.
However, this reserved musical style didn't last long, and Beck was soon back to experimenting with 60s psychedelia, dance, synth pop, and even hip hop. Put simply, Beck never stays in one genre for long, and it makes for a wildly unpredictable and exciting listening experience.
Some days I go.
Number 10. Taylor Swift.
And I don't know how it gets better than this. You take my hand and drag me.
She went from playing the guitar and singing about boys to singing about, well, still boys, but with drum machines and synths.
I hope you think my favorite song, the one we dance to all night long.
Just compare the country tones of her 2006 debut single Tim McGraw with the dubstep-influenced electropop of 2012's I Knew You Were Trouble.
Now I'm lying on the cold hard ground. Trouble.
During her career, she's practically sneezed out #1 hits, making a constant loop of Swift on the radio. So it's pretty clear that this shift worked out for her.
'Cause we're young and we're reckless. We'll take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless.
Of course, she's since changed gears again, going back to her roots with her 2020 albums Folklore and Evermore.
But I knew you playing hide and seek and giving me a weekend's eye.
Number 9. Damon Albarn. This English musician rose to fame in the early 90s as the vocalist of Blur.
I got my head shaved by a jumbo jet.
While the band is primarily known in the United States for Song 2, they were massive in the United Kingdom and became one of the biggest Britpop acts of the time, often being compared to rival Britpop icons Oasis. Things started to change in the late 90s, as Blur began incorporating more electronic elements into their sound. It reflected Albarn's growing interest in experimentation, and he started the virtual band Gorillaz as a creative output for said creativity.
Love forever, love is free, let's turn forever, you and me.
Gorillaz earned instant acclaim and recognition for their wide-ranging and unique blending of musical genres, including electronica, hip-hop, and funk.
Reset myself and get it back on track.
Number 8. Radiohead. Speaking of massive Britpop acts, Radiohead rose to fame with their popular single Creep and second studio album The Bends.
But I'm a creep.
They became one of the hottest rock acts in Britain. And while The Bends was positively received, it didn't really set Radiohead apart.
She looks like the real.
Then came OK Computer. Often heralded as one of the greatest and most important albums ever made, OK Computer shattered expectations with its cryptic lyricism, foreboding atmosphere, and art rock eclecticism. It also ended the Britpop age and launched Radiohead into global superstardom.
I'm a holy
becoming the leading name in mainstream experimental rock, a reputation that was further bolstered by the impossible-to-define masterpiece that is Kid A. Number 7. Beastie Boys. Before becoming the hip-hop artists with party-inspired lyrics that everyone loves, the Beastie Boys were a group of a different kind. They originally played hardcore punk in underground clubs and bars before meeting DJ and producer Rick Rubin and experimenting in hip-hop.
Hey, ladies in the place, I'm calling out to ya. There never was a city kid, true and true.
Although the band would pick up their instruments occasionally throughout their career, it's their critically acclaimed hip-hop albums that have solidified the NYC trio as legends. We're sure your parents still don't like them, though.
What could it be? It's overrun. You're scheming on a thing to sabotage.
Number 6. The Bee Gees.
I'm going back to Massachusetts.
Everyone knows the Bee Gees, most likely from Saturday Night Fever, which made them megastars in the disco era of the 70s. However, before the Australian group became influential musicians in the disco world, the brothers Gibb had a sound that was often compared to the Beatles.
Have you seen my wine, Mr. Jones?
Their beautiful harmonies were as prominent as ever. But don't expect to be able to dance to hits like I Started a Joke.
Oh, if I'd only say.
At least their music is staying alive due to their new direction. Number 5. Prince. Like Beck, Prince never really stuck to one particular genre. In fact, his wide-ranging sound and ability to nail everything he tried was a major part of his appeal. Prince released a staggering 39 studio albums throughout his life, experimenting in genres as diverse as hip-hop, Latin, classical, jazz, industrial, and straightforward pop. One second, Prince was showcasing his songwriting and instrumental mastery, particularly of the guitar and piano. The next, he was making the world dance with radio pop hits like Little Red Corvette in 1999. Prince never stuck to one thing, and his diverse discography resulted in over 150 million records sold, making him one of the highest-selling musical artists of all time. Number 4. Michael Jackson. Often regarded as the king of pop, Michael Jackson has earned that moniker with an incredible lineup of music.
When I had you to myself, I didn't want you around.
He was perhaps the most commanding figure in the pop landscape throughout the 80s and 90s, thanks to massive albums like Thriller and Bad.
Close your eyes and hope that this is just imagination.
The moniker, however, betrays his incredibly wide range.
Oh, baby, give me one more chance.
The Jackson 5 was rooted in Motown soul and R&B, and Jackson's first solo record, Off the Wall, was a masterpiece of disco funk.
Don't stop till you get enough, people. When the phone stops, don't stop till you get enough.
It wasn't until Thriller that he really leaned into mainstream pop. However, that didn't stop Jackson from experimenting, and his 1991 album Dangerous was a highly unique experiment involving elements of hip-hop, industrial, and gospel, all backed with a gritty and underground production.
Something about you, baby, that makes me want to give it to you.
Number 3. Bob Dylan. This Minnesotan has been an active part of many musical scenes and moments.
Yes, and how many years can a mountain exist?
In the early 60s, his soothing yet scathing folk music made him a star and a cornerstone of the emerging counterculture.
The loser now will be later to win.
Things changed forever in 1965. Dylan went electric, and blues rock albums like Highway 61 Revisited, which contained the enormously influential Like a Rolling Stone, made Dylan a rock icon and helped influence a generation of musical artists. Dylan would continue to experiment throughout his long career, venturing into a wide range of genres. Over the course of his impressive discography, he's incorporated elements of country music, reggae, and even gospel and Christian rock. Number 2. David Bowie. One of the most diverse musical artists of all time, David Bowie began his career with an eponymous album released in 1967. The Baroque pop music bears little resemblance to his later works, and both Bowie fans and music historians tend to ignore it. He shifted towards a harder blues rock sound for The Man Who Sold the World, before experimenting with art pop for Hunky Dory. And then he released Ziggy Stardust, and his iconic glam rock persona was born. But that didn't stop Bowie from experimenting, and his later musical output included Fame's funk, Let's Dance's new wave disco, and Young American's soul. There was never one David Bowie. Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. Miley Cyrus, country to mainstream and provocative pop.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard in love.
The Cure, fun new wave to dark gothic rock.
Shaking his head, creeps closer now, closer to the foot of your bed.
Want more mojo? Sound Mojo brings you music from new and emerging artists in all genres from across the globe. From interviews to live shows and deep dives into music culture, Sound Mojo has you covered. Be sure to check out Sound Mojo to find your new favorite artists.
A brave new world. No sé si te veré. Solo mucho lipstick.
Number 1. The Beatles. Never before or since has a popular band been so successful or influential with a genre switch.
Love, love me do. You know I love you.
The Beatles took the world by storm in the early 60s thanks to their incredibly well-written and catchy pop rock tunes. Things sounded a little darker on Rubber Soul before the Beatles completely reinvented themselves with 1966's Revolver. Revolver contained a little bit of everything, including old-school pop and rock tunes, but also elements of art rock, psychedelia, Hindustani classical music, and the avant-garde.
Ah, look at all the lonely people.
The Beatles changed popular music forever through their adoption of eclectic musical styles and inventive production techniques.
Let me take you down, 'cause I'm going to.
No one had ever heard anything like it before, and Paul McCartney continued this adventurous experimentation through his successful solo career.
You never used to be afraid of days like these, and now you're overwhelmed.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.